Hello, Hare Krishna. My name is Jwalamukhi Dasi, and I am recording video number 10 in the J-File series of my video blog of the book that I've entitled My Huhu and the Destiny of the Universe, the Golden Age, the Great Sinister Movement, and the Firewalk of a Hare Krishna Kid. This next section deals with being the witness. So witness means to view something or to see something. And when I refer to the word witness, it means to observe from the standpoint of the eternal self, the spiritual spark, the soul, the self. To witness the Kshetra, or the Sanskrit word of Kshetra, is referring to the field of activities, or this body, which is composed of two basic bodies, the physical body, the earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego, false ego. And so being the witness means that as the soul sitting in the heart in connection with the supreme sanctioner and supreme witness, the Supreme Lord, being Krishna conscious means to have God's consciousness or his perspective on things. So our little teeny perspective, it's like, the way I think of it is, if there were a little ant looking up and trying to come to some conclusion about the world around him, that perspective is very different than being in the heavens and looking down and what you can see from that perspective. So the best perspective is God's perspective, and we as little parts and parcels of him can be empowered to see from that perspective when we open ourselves up to receive revelation from within with our willingness, and to purify the subtle body and the gross body through proper behavior, proper practice, as recommended in the scriptures. So, gift number 3. Being the witness is the first stage of empowerment. Exorcism? What? The following week, I went back to see Kamar Prabhu for my first energy clearing session, something I was totally new to. I lay down under the blanket on the massage table and got comfortable in the small, chilly room. She worked out of her home, a 2-room building, a place for everything, and everything in its place. A wicker folding screen separated her sleeping quarters from the workspace and the massage table where I lay. I closed my eyes and could feel the palpable sensation of the large tachyonized crystals and the discs passing over the length of my body. She said she wanted to begin by balancing my energy field, whatever that was. On her treatment table, she used laboratory-grown crystals intentionally aligned in such a way as to create an antenna for faster than light speed energy which exists all around us, called tachyon. Quantum physics put to good use for sure. It was developed by a man who worked for Fortune 500 companies until a filing cabinet fell on his back, and 5 years of conventional and alternative therapies did not stop the pain. David Wagner's products and protocol are now being used worldwide, and he has his own company and training seminars. Kamar Prabhu had incorporated this technology into her own work because it was more effective than the hands-on healing work she had done in the past, and it took less of her own energy. By using these hand-sized rectangular crystal bars, the subtle energy field could be strengthened and aligned, allowing it to release more easily the disharmonious energies which were creating the various symptoms one might experience either in the body, physically, or the mind and emotions. Tachyon energy restores energy fields and invites harmony to what is disharmonious. The only thing that will block it is our free will. With clearings, it will support the energy field in the awareness, the clearing of unwanted energies or entities, and the integration very profoundly. It was all very new to me, but I had been sent an angel who was ready to roll up the sleeves of her robe and do whatever it took to help me. Interestingly, one of her clients remarked, "You do the work of an angel." This is now what her website is called, www.workofanangel.com. And you can go there to check out her work. She has helped people from all over the globe internationally and has received incredible reviews. Many people credit her with saving their lives or the lives of their loved ones, myself included. But neither of us could have suspected what lay ahead. As soon as I lay down, the twitching in the thigh and the clasping in my core began. The hip undulations and the eventual arcing and deep gasps. This was all involuntary, and Kamra stood there silently, not saying a word, simply holding space. It happened as a result of my choosing to deeply relax. The body went on automatic, and I allowed myself to be the witness from that quiet place inside my closed eyes. What was going to come out? Compassionate curiosity. Again the sadness welled up, and a sob escaped my mouth. My body was really flopping around now and contorting. Kamra Prabhu acknowledged the separate existence of an inhabiting spirit by saying, I know you are there and you may not use her body anymore. Stop playing with her body. I have a little footnote here in my book to refer to another book that is relevant in this regard called The Unquiet Dead. It's an interesting book. The person who wrote it was not at all a believer in ghosts or subtle beings. They were a psychologist, but they found through one patient that the majority of all mental illness comes from subtle beings and how they attach to the subtle bodies of physically embodied. That's us, people with physical bodies. The only difference between us and a ghost is that we have a physical body, whereas the ghostly body, for some reason or other, either they've died in a violent way, or they've committed suicide, or for some other reason, that soul only has the subtle body. They don't have the physical body. And so they are invited or attached to the living due to unclean habits or trauma, or so many reasons are there. Kamra Prabhu directly addressed the spirit and began to ask it questions for me to gain witness, not because we really needed the answers, only so that I could begin to separate myself from it. What is your name? The answer came, Marissa. Kamra said, when did you come for the first time into Jwalamukhi? The spirit answered, when I died, was the answer that escaped my mouth in a growl of a creepy voice, not my own. Now I really understood that this voice and the emotions that I was experiencing as my own was in fact not me, not my emotions, and I felt scared. How long have you been with Jwalamukhi? Kamra Prabhu asked calmly. I heard the number 15 and said so. Kamra said, 15 minutes, hours, years? I could feel the spirit's unwillingness to answer. Kamra said, why did you come to Jwalamukhi? As the witness self, I observed a surge of strong anger and heard my voice spit out, shout in a raspy yell, because she wanted to die and I wanted to live. Kamra corrected the situation by telling the spirit that, no, you may not use her voice. Jwalamukhi, you use your voice. Tell Jwalamukhi what you have done for her. The spirit answered, I made her strong. Again, Kamra reminded me not to let her speak out of my mouth directly or answer directly. Say, the spirit says. And that's really important because once you begin to get witness on the things that have been in you, that run you, you can't let them run you anymore. You have to take that step to begin to separate by saying the energy says, the entity says, etc. And don't let it just spit it out. You may not use her voice, she said firmly. You must now leave her body totally and completely, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head. Now you must go. In the name of Jesus Christ, Archangel Michael, and Sri Hanumanji, you must go." She must have repeated this at least 10 times during the session, while the spirit was being convinced to leave. "Tell Jwalamukhi what you are doing to her physically." The answer came, "I am killing her." "What are you doing to her relationships?" Answer, "I am destroying them." "What are you doing to her spiritual life?" Answer, "I am destroying it." "The female spirit had entered my subtle body," she said, "when I, quote, killed my baby in that previous life. It seems that she was fulfilling my unconscious desire to punish myself since my last life and not live, not forgive myself for the late-term abortion, etc. The soul is encased in 2 bodies, the subtle and the gross. The subtle body carries all of the desires and impressions, the karma, the aggregate of our decisions and their consequences, from the last gross physical body and into the new one. In fact, the new body forms just like a glove on the hand around the subtle body. If one wants to be free, killing the gross body is no escape. One has to transmute all material desires into spiritual desires to fulfill one's existence, so that one is not forced to take another material body ever again. It is not so cheap and easy to die as to die and go to heaven or hell, for that matter. People are complex, and so is their destiny, and so is the law of karma. Finally, after more drama, I was able to control my body so that when it wanted to shake and contort or throw itself all over the table, I knew that it was not me, and I breathed through it as best I could, willing my body to lay still with all my might. Kamra Prabhu then told the spirit that the angels were here to take her to a better place, and she asked, "Do you see them?" Kamra asked, "Oh, sorry." So the spirit asked, "Do you see them?" She was doubtful. Kamra answered, "They are here." After that, the spirit simply left. My body went slack. I asked, "Is it gone? Is it gone?" And Kamra said, "Yes," although I could not tell for sure. I was so afraid it would come back. I was in quite an emotional state. In fact, this whole past week, I have been asking myself, is it really over? Is that spirit really gone? I have felt much lighter and clearer. It is easier to chant and to pray. I am eager to forgive myself now instead of hesitating due to guilt. I don't want anyone else to come in and cause dysfunction. I am ready to live. Kamra told me, "Exorcism was never something I imagined I would ever be doing. Funny how life's twists and turns bring us to our destiny, as if unwillingly." Through her own healing crisis years earlier, she had met a Christian minister by the name of Reverend Jill Jackson. Jill's life story is a book all on its own, which I wish I could say I had. Among the many valuable lessons Jill taught Kamra was how to perform classical exorcism. Jill would order such spirits out in the name of Jesus Christ, and because of her purity and power, they had to oblige, and they would leave. Kamra took this practice a step further by applying the non-polarizing principles taught in the Bhagavad Gita, that all souls are pure by nature, just covered by degrees of lust and ignorance. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 38. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, similarly, the living entity is covered by degrees of lust. Souls who are blocked from taking another physical body, stuck in only the subtle body, facing difficult circumstances, can be reminded of who they truly are, dear parts and parcels of Krishna, their well-wisher. They are then able to move on to their next destination, assisted by divine agents through prayer. When the person whom they inhabit is helped to perceive how they have attracted that energy or attached that energy to live with them, what need of theirs that the earthbound spirit is so-called hooked into, the relationship reaches its natural conclusion. The fruit is the lesson learned by both, and everyone wins. Painless exorcism. The spirit gets to move upward if they so choose, and the person whom they've inhabited gets to see how they were maintaining an unhealthy pattern that the spirit was able to so-called hook into. Through this awareness or self-realization, one is able to release the covering spirit or energetic layer, and thus the unhealthy pattern gradually vanishes. Integration occurs, functionality and happiness ensue. It is no longer in balance for you to remain, so you may choose to go upwards with whomever is coming to escort you, or you may go wherever you wish. But you may not stay here. You must leave fully and completely from the top of the head to the tips of the toes. In the name of, insert here the name of God or the one you most cherish. You must leave now. These are the words that invite such a soul to be freed and on their way. Only when these words are spoken in gratitude for lessons learned, not with duality, and spoken with love, do they free yourself and the earthbound spirits. If there is any polarity or anger or blame, everyone stays stuck in a useless, time-consuming battle of false egos or tug of war. Yeah, I've seen some videos that so-called Christian priests do, some videos of the so-called exorcisms, and it's like half an hour, 1 hour of somebody who's like invoking the name of Jesus and just, you will leave in the name, you are impelled, and just all of this like super heavy battle going on. And I can say that there were, there's a joke that, I say just, to help lighten things up is that, I've always kind of struggled for money, and that's probably a battle that a lot of second generation have. But I always thought, gosh, if I ever wanted money, all I'd have to do was put a camera in these sessions, and it would make the exorcist look tame compared to the stuff that's come out of myself. But there's never been that power struggle because of the way that Kamra approaches it. There's no contest, because actually every soul, every energy is ultimately serving the same master. And in fact, Satan himself is a servant of God. Actually, Satan is not a competitor of God. He is an agent of the other agents of Sri Kali Prabhu, the personality of this age. And that conception of Satan or the evil beings is simply devoid of true knowledge. It is evil without the conception of Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as one learns about oneself, about consciousness, Krishna conscious means to become conscious and then conscious of God. Then these layers, these coverings, these energies and entities, or even the personified modes of nature begin to become clearer and clearer and clearer. And obviously the main process for clearing is the chanting of God's holy names. So this journal was, is the metal scrubby to the consciousness, these sessions that I had. And as I began to learn how to do the work myself, I would go once a week, and then I would come home, and then I would apply these techniques while I was chanting or praying or just, doing chores around the house. And that process of like just vomiting out all of these yucky energies and entities, all of these things that were hooked into me, it just became second nature. Like you swat a fly or something. I got really, really good at it. I can actually do exorcisms in my sleep, no joke. And it's not a power struggle. So, let's see. The embodied have more power than the disembodied, and like it or not, they have to go. Of course, that also depends on the purity of the one ordering and how ready the person whom they inhabit is to let them go. If the person whom the spirit is attached to chooses to maintain denial, the spirit or covering layer does not leave. It remains as a gatekeeper or guardian. The embodied have more power than the disembodied, and like it or not, the disembodied have to go. Of course, that also depends completely on the purity of the one ordering and how ready the person whom they inhabit is to actually let them go. If the person whom the spirit is attached to chooses to maintain any form of denial or hypocrisy, the spirit or covering layer does not leave. It remains as a gatekeeper or guardian, as I call them. They block consciousness. We want to forget, and they oblige and block memory and awareness. Of course, there is a price for their, quote, services. The babies are waking up. This recording will continue later.